All
Got
right,
it.
so we've got Zane here. Zane is one of the Soberclear members, and he's recently gone through the program, and he's kindly agreed to come onto the YouTube channel to share his experience and talk about the transformation that he's gone through. Because as you'll learn, Zane's had a pretty awesome transformation. He's really killing it now. So yeah, just thought he could get on the channel. So welcome, Zane.
Thanks, Leon. Yeah, and I volunteered to do this under no duress, by the way.
There's no there's no gun to your head.
No, no.
Yeah, awesome. So, Zane, what was life like before the Sober Clear program? Like, what problem were you trying to solve?
Well, I had struggled with alcoholism for a number of years, and had ups and downs, and had some moments of some short times of sobriety, and actually a few longer times of sobriety. I just could never hang on to it, and it was affecting all areas of my life, my work. I'm self-employed, and it was affecting my work performance. My family was strongly affected, and my own well-being, myself. I mean, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, just in every area. It was really taxing. It had become a huge problem, bigger probably than even I had realized.
Got it. So, yeah, it had been affecting everything from family to business to health to how you feel.
Yes, for sure.
Got you. And what had you tried to do to solve this problem in the past?
Well, I mean, like everybody, um, I had tried self will countless times, and the old, man, get me through this, and I'll never do this again, and or wake up in the morning hungover and sick, and just feeling like death, and promising myself, man, I'm not going to do that today. And by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was thinking, well, I mean, I might have a couple. I might have overreacted a little. And then by 5 o'clock, I'm thinking, yeah, I've already had a couple. Might as well have, and off to the races again. And I had tried 12-step programs numerous times, and actually had some time sober in 12-step programs. I always felt like every time I got some time put together in AA, I mean, I'll just say it was AA. Every time I got some time put together, I always had kind of a lurking notion that there was an expiration date on it. I'll stay here for now. I'll do this for now. Um, they always talk about fake it till you make it. And I think that's all I ever did was fake it. And I don't feel like I ever made it. But I always knew in the back of my mind that it just wasn't going to be long term, and to no fault of the program. I know it works well for a lot of people. I know it saves a lot of lives and all that. It just wasn't a fit for me. I could never get I could never get past that black cloud feeling. I always felt it was just depressing to me. And I know a lot of people enjoy going and doing that stuff, and it just wasn't me. I was more depressed and felt more like drinking after I left than I did when I got there. And it was just a battle, a constant fight in my head all the time. And I mean, this is over the course of 12, 15 years. I was in and out of AA, and put together a little time here and there. And like I said, I always knew it would have an expiration date, and it always did. I mean, and it always ended up back to where I started, or worse, a lot of times worse than where I had been before I went in. So it just, and like I said, self-will. And I mean, I tried religion, I tried going to church, and you name it pretty much. I mean, and I read books, and um, I just couldn't find the fit for me, I guess. I mean, and I know, like I said, all the things that I tried, I know they've worked for other people. Some people, they just weren't a fit for me.
Sure, got you. So when you said alcohol was like affecting just like different areas of your life, um, when you say your business, how did it affect your business and the way you showed up for work?
Well, you know, I can never, when I categorize this, I don't mean necessarily that I was like actively drunk or under the direct influence of alcohol. But whenever I'm in that mode and in that lifestyle, I feel like every decision that I make, and the thoughts that I have, and the actions that I take are kind of controlled by alcohol, even if I'm not literally imbibing alcohol at the time. It still affects the decisions that I make, and it affects the quality of my work. It affects my attitude, how I interact with other people. And I can't say that it ever really lost me a deal directly related to or anything like that, but I know it cost me money. And bigger than that, I know that I didn't do 100% on every job for the people that I was performing the job for. I didn't do what I could have, and I know I didn't a lot of times. And that was either because I had a hangover, or I was wanting to hurry and get done to go get some alcohol, or I was preoccupied in my mind with, what I did last night or what I'm going to do tonight. And I wasn't focusing. I didn't have any clarity of anything. I mean, I just didn't. And that affects every area of my life. I mean, when I'm not on my A game and I'm not taking care of me, it's impossible for me to take care of anyone else. It just is.
Yeah, got you. So what about in your home life, if you're okay to talk about that?
Yeah, it just, my wife and I have been married for 22 years. We got two grown children. One just graduated high school. I call him grown. He's got a little ways to go, but then we have a daughter that is a nurse. And then we still have a teenage daughter that's a junior in high school. And it was stressful on all of them because I would miss scheduled events. I would miss important dates that were important to them and should have been, and honestly were important to me. But because of decisions I made, I wasn't able to attend stuff, or if I was there physically, I wasn't present. I was just, a pulse, a warm body, but I wasn't present. And important milestones in their lives and important like decisions, family decisions that needed to be made, and just different things like that I should have been a part of that I wasn't. And it was a direct result of alcoholism. And again, not necessarily that every time I was slobbering drunk, but the decisions that I made based on on alcoholic judgment and alcohol mind kept me from participating or from being present or just let them down a lot. I mean, and it got to where, and they didn't normally verbalize it, but I could tell, when I would come home, everybody was kind of on pins and needles waiting to see, has he been drinking? Is he going to go drink? Is he, if he hadn't been drinking, is he mad because he hasn't and he wants to? If he has, it was just always a constant. I think it left a lot of question in their mind, and and not they didn't have that comfort of knowing that that I had their back all the time, even though I always would tell you I would, and I would mean to, but I wasn't always able to, and that's hard to keep. It's hard on them and it's hard on me as well, but I'm not the problem. I mean, it's not me, it's what I did to them. It's not what I did to me. But so it was really, it's tough on them. And in health, I mean, gosh, I didn't eat right if I ate at all. And just drinking in general is just, I mean, you say it better than anybody. I mean, we're putting straight poison in our body that can't be healthy. And it's when I'm in that mindset, the last thing on my mind is a well-balanced meal or adequate rest. I mean, that doesn't come to the front of your mind when you're thinking, man, I got another bottle. I know I just got to find it. Or, I got another $50 in my pocket. Let's go. None of this stuff comes to mind. So in not just physical health, mental health. I mean, it's when you drink like I did and juggle a business and a family and hard drinking, and you juggle all that stuff in life, it's all in your mind all the time, and I would hear people talk about having a split personality, and I thought, man, you got it made. You ought to come to the board meeting in my head in the morning. You only got two. You're on easy street. And it was just a nonstop, constant boxing match in my head. And I was just felt like I was getting my head pounded on the ropes about 90% of the time. And that's that stress and lack of rest and lack of nutrition and all that stuff that is caused or as a result of that is not healthy in any fashion. So yes, that definitely affected and I'm not a kid anymore. I mean, I'm in my late 40s, and when I was 21, that stuff didn't bother me much, or 18, but I'm a long ways from there now. So
Yeah, got you. And why did you decide to join the Soberclear program?
that's a really good question, and I've actually thought about that a lot. And I in my job, like I said, I'm self-employed, but in my profession, I have quite a bit of time. I spend quite a bit of time driving between jobs and two jobs and whatnot. And um, I was in a bad spot. I mean, mentally, physically, everything. It was just one of those times in my life where it didn't seem like there was a safe place to turn. I mean, it was it's just overwhelming. I don't even know how to describe it. I know that people have been in that situation. They're going, oh, I know exactly what you're saying, but it just seems like every road's a dead end road. Every road leads it winds up at the same place. And there was just this particular day, and I don't know why that particular day, but I just didn't want to drink that afternoon. And I knew I was going to, but I just didn't. With all of my heart, I didn't want to. And I had the thought of, going to the AA meeting house. I know right where it is. Been there a million times. I know the guys. I got them in my phone. I know who to call. I got a big book in my drawer. I mean, all that stuff. And I just couldn't make myself do it. I just couldn't get my head wrapped around going back to that deal and doing that whole deal again. And my daughter, the one that I mentioned earlier, who's an RN, she and I had actually talked a couple of days before that. And she's 21. I mean, she's an adult, and I had kind of confided in her that I just didn't know what to do, that I knew there had to be something, but I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know how to find it. And she had mentioned, sort of in passing, you might just type it in on YouTube and just see what comes up. And of course, my first thought was contempt. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, some self-help deal. That's going to be it. Let me watch a YouTube video. That'll probably help. But for some reason that day I was willing to do it, and I did. And there's a couple of other guys, and I honestly can't even tell you their names right now, but because I don't know them. But I had kind of touched on their stuff a little bit. I actually got a book from one of them, a free book that they offer. And I watched a couple of their videos, and they seemed angry. One in particular seemed really angry. I mean, he seemed like a guy that whether I was drinking or not, I would actually want to fight. I wouldn't really want to listen to or follow. I would rather fight him. And so that didn't really, I was thinking, this guy doesn't really have what I want. If quitting drinking, if this is what I get, I'm going to be pissed off all the time. I'd rather just keep drinking, honestly. And then one other guy was just kind of hit and miss, just kind of all over the place. I couldn't really follow what he was saying. And then like the third one, honestly, was one of your videos, Soberclear videos that I came across, and I watched. I was actually sitting at a drive-in restaurant eating my lunch in my truck because I was afraid to go in somewhere and sit down, because I knew if I did, I'd probably order a beer. That's the truth. I mean, I was just literally sitting in my truck so that I was drinking a tea and eating a hamburger in my truck to keep myself from being stupid. And I watched one of your videos, and you were kind of laughing and cutting up and at yourself and at the situations that you had been in. And it was actually the first one I watched was actually the one where you threw up on your laptop. And I know at the time it wasn't funny. Now to me it is pretty comical. And the reason it is because I understand it. I had not that particular action, but I've taken very similar actions. And so I watched that video through, and then I was getting ready to, like turn my phone off or whatever and get back to, and it automatically starts like the next video, which I didn't realize. I'm not super technical savvy on that kind of stuff. But anyway, it started the next video. Well, I wound up sitting there watching like 3 videos of Soberclear, and the upbeat and the thing, I think the message that really got me was that it's time to stop that stuff, but let's don't quit there. It's time now to start living. It's time to go. You don't have to dwell on all that stuff. Let's go, let's move. And let's live the good life, and let's create the life that we deserve. And I was like, man, this guy's talking my language. And then the deeper I got into it, a lot of feelings and beliefs that I have had for a long time. And for at some times in my sobriety and in my drinking both, I thought maybe those beliefs are just myself talking making excuses or whatever, trying to find the easy way out or whatever. But a lot of the stuff I had thought and felt, you talked about and believed and felt the same way. And I saw that you weren't drinking, and I saw that you had built a good life. And I thought, man, this is the deal right here. This is what I've been looking for. And so that's when I signed up, and then you called and we talked and all that. And then I don't mean, you didn't ask me about this, but I want to share this, that I was doing the Soberclear program. I was taking the program, and I don't remember how many weeks. I was pretty far, like halfway or something. And people say relapse. I don't like that word. I don't know why, but I don't like it. But anyway, I mean, I drank, and I didn't know what to do, man. I thought, God, here we go. I screwed up another deal. And the first thing I did was I called you, and I was like, man, I don't, here's where what do I do? I mean, are you still going to talk to me? I didn't know what was going to happen. And thankfully, you did answer the phone. You did talk to me and talk me out of the trees, and just, and since that moment, and I think the reason that happened, I didn't know it at the time, but I know now, was that I wasn't 1,000% bought into myself. It wasn't Soberclear. It was me. I wasn't 1,000% convinced that alcohol didn't give me anything positive. And I just had to try that, I just had to try it again. And anyone watching this, you don't have to try it again. Please don't. Just take my word for it. An old saying that an old man I used to know when I was a kid used to say, you don't have to ride the garbage trunk all the way to the dump. You can get off wherever you want to. Get off. Don't ride it. I'm telling you, it wasn't. But the point is that we are human. And if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world, man. I mean, you can always, I wouldn't suggest making a habit of it, but you can always start where you're at, wherever that is. And the thing about where I was at is it had to get better. It wasn't going to get much worse. And it has certainly done that. So hopefully that answered what you asked me, Leon.
Sure. So, how was the Soberclear approach different to other things that you've done?
Well, I think the biggest difference was that I didn't have to continually, like every time we talked or whatever, I didn't have to say, basically, I'm Zane and I'm the problem, which to me, when I introduce myself at a 12-step meeting and I follow my name with that addiction, alcoholic, whatever the case might be, I'm basically saying, it doesn't matter if I haven't drank in 15 years, I'm Zane, I'm an alcoholic. And so I think the biggest thing was that it was the idea that I had for a long time was reinforced and sort of legitimized by the stuff that you were saying, that I'm not the problem. Alcohol is the problem. If you take alcohol away, alcohol is no longer the problem. So you don't have to associate yourself with that stigma the rest of your life. You don't have to, and I can't remember one single session or call or anything that we had where we dwelled on what I had done wrong and what you had done wrong and what, all the stuff. We didn't have to relive all the glory days, if you will, or the horror stories or any of that. I mean, every time we talked, or every step of the way was a building block to get to a better life, to get to living the good life. And I keep saying that, but I really believe that. And I use that a lot. And I think it a lot because that's what it is. And so instead of rehashing the past and talking every time we talked about Leon ruining his laptop or about me wrecking a car or making my wife upset or whatever, we never did that. It was always positive. It was always forward thinking, forward moving. Let's get this going. Let's go. And looking for ways to improve everything instead of trying to tear everything down and the doom and gloom and all that. I don't have room for that myself. I mean, I always try to be a positive guy and I got that feeling every single step of the way. I got that positive vibe, and like I said, the forward moving, and let's get it. Let's don't worry about what happened yesterday. It's gone. Don't worry about tomorrow. It's not here yet. Let's go right now. And that's what I liked.
Yeah, awesome. So once you kind of got to that place where you was like, right, I'm fully committed to this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm all in, because obviously you had that point.
Mm-hmm.
How do you now feel about your decision to not drink?
At first, the only thing I could think about was, God, I wish I would have found this years ago. And after thinking about that for a while and kind of kicking that around, I'm glad I didn't find it a long time ago, because I wouldn't have been able to process it properly. I wouldn't have been able to make it work. I mean, I feel like I drank all I had to a little ways before I found this program, but I had to get to where I was in order for this to work for me. I mean, I couldn't have, at 19, 20 years old, you trip over a phone cord and chip my tooth on a beer bottle and go, oh my gosh, I think I have a problem. I should call Leon. And I mean, that would have never happened for me. I grow, and I've told you this before, but I grow at the speed of pain. And it took me quite a bit of pain to get to the point that to accept the fact that I couldn't whip that deal, that I couldn't be, I just couldn't. I just needed to remove myself from that whole situation. And now it's so strange, because the stuff that I've put together in my mind, and even on paper, and have actually lived parts of from this program, I catch myself all the time. Like I told you, my son's 18th birthday was, our 19th birthday was just the other day. And, I was watching the whole, and right before that, like a week before that, was my daughter's 21st. And I was watching the whole thing, and all I could think about was everything that you talked about, and how it's conditioning. And I mean, people that didn't even know my daughter at the restaurant, they found out it was her 21st birthday. They're buying her drinks. And I'm like, man, are you kidding me? This is just, it was just crazy to watch it from the other side. But, yeah, I think it all happened at the right time for the right reasons. I have absolutely no regrets. I feel like it directly saved my life, my marriage, and definitely improved my business world. I don't even know how to measure how much yet. I mean, I just don't know how to quantify it, but it's huge.
So you was at the restaurant the other day, but do you feel like, you still need to exercise willpower to not drink? Do you still feel like...
No, not even. No. And I've been around several situations that I was a little apprehensive about going into because of that, because for so long, I mean, I was the guy, I was the guy that was loud and crazy and throwing stuff and may get in a fight. And I mean, you never knew what was going to happen, but it was going to be fun for a little while. And I was afraid that was going to or that I was going to feel like, man, I'm not having any fun because everyone's drinking and I'm not, oh, poor me. And it just hasn't been that way at all. I mean, I can't say it hasn't ever crossed my mind. That's not true, but it hasn't been to the point where I was like, you know what, I should at all. I mean, not even a little bit. And the strange part about it is I catch myself more analyzing the situation and kind of going back to the stuff that's in the program and like going, okay, there's that. Well, that's so evident. And then, oh, that was pretty subtle, but I think that's this. And I'm doing more of that than I'm thinking, God, everyone's ordering another beer and I don't even have one. I just don't. And then as the time in the situation goes on, then it starts to be very evident that I'm on the right side of the deal when people start getting drunk, and then there's squabbles over here and someone's peeing their pants over here. And, I mean, it's just a whole mess. And I'm like, oh yeah, this looks like a blast. I think I'll just sit here and drink my tea. I'm good. And it doesn't, the biggest thing I think I was afraid of, one of the biggest things is that A, I wouldn't have fun, and B, that I would be missing out some way, that I would be missing a piece of the puzzle in order to feel like I fit in the crowd or I fit in the situation and all that. And I haven't had that even once. I mean, not even, and really maybe it was a lot worse than I thought, because most people, even people that I know real well that have drank with and stuff, they'll offer me one beer or one drink or whatever. When I say, no, I'm good, they don't even offer anymore. So maybe they've been thinking for a long time, this dude needs to quit. And I didn't realize it, oh no, but no, it's not even uncomfortable. It really isn't.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So you just started saying like life looks different now. So family life, business life, help, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot different. My family's like happy when I come home in the evening or in the afternoon, instead of nervous and apprehensive and worried about what I'm doing or whatever, or what I've been doing. I hadn't been to the gym in probably over 20 years. I mean, I'd driven by them, but I hadn't been in one. And through a couple of conversations with Leon, it was suggested that, he said, what do you think? Maybe you should go back. And I said, yeah, I probably should, but I probably won't. Anyway, one thing led to another. I committed to going and getting a membership one weekend, and I think I've missed one day. I don't go on the weekends, but one weekday I've missed once, and that was because of work since that started. And that, I don't really know how long ago that was, maybe a month. I'm not sure. I haven't really been keeping count, but it's been quite a while. And I feel a lot better. Physically, that has helped me a lot. And I mean, I wasn't in terrible shape, but like I said, I'm not getting any younger. And it's really been good. And my son goes with me every morning. My wife started going a little bit. So yeah, it's been good. We get up early in the morning and go, and it's a great way to start the day, which would have never happened if I hadn't quit drinking, for a lot of reasons. I wouldn't feel good in the mornings. I wouldn't really care about going to the gym or how old I was or any of that stuff. So that's helped. I sleep 10,000 times better. Again, a lot of that, I know the alcohol has effects on that too, but I think the board meeting in my head is quieted down considerably. And that allows me not just to go. I mean, I always went to sleep, I guess. Sometimes I didn't. I kind of passed out, I guess. But usually, I mean, even if I wasn't drinking a lot, I would still go to sleep. I just didn't sleep well because of my head just wouldn't shut off. I was worried about all kinds of stuff, and I should have been. And I eat a lot better. So all those things put together, I mean, long story short, which I know it's too late for that, I already made it long, but everything together has definitely improved my health. Which, when family life is better, health is better, rest is better, it's almost inevitable that business is going to be better. I'm able to focus more on what I'm doing. I'm able to be present wherever I am. And by no circumstances am I perfect at any of those things, but I have gotten to where I've got some little tricks that I've kind of come up with, and that Leon helped me come up with, that I can catch myself when I'm not focusing on what I'm doing, or I'm not 100% present where I'm at. And I still catch myself every now and then. Ooh, there I go. I'm kind of drifting off, and I get back, get recentered, get back on track and back on the game. But all of that stuff together, I mean, when you have all that positivity in those different areas, there's no way for anything to come out of it but positive. I mean, it has to help everything, and it certainly has, and measurably in a lot of instances. And like I said, with my business, I don't really know how to measure it yet. I'm kind of a metrics guy on that kind of stuff, and I mean, everything's good, which a lot of it is certainly due to that. But I don't know how to tell how much better it is, except that I'm happier. My clients are still happy. My family's happier. It's got to be okay. It's got to be okay.
Yeah, awesome. And what's one piece of advice you would give to somebody thinking about starting Soberclear?
I think the biggest thing, especially if you have tried other things and that kind of stuff, or I guess even really if you haven't, because keep an open mind. That's the biggest thing is keep an open mind, because there are some pieces that will challenged me in that department, because I have that steel trap in my head, and there are some aspects and some pieces of program that, when they're first stated, and even a few of them when they're stated a few times, that trap in my head wants to slam shut and go, nah, that ain't true. That ain't going to work. There's no way. And by doing that, if I had done that and followed through with that, I would have cheated myself out of the best thing that's ever happened to me. So keep an open mind, throw the, if there's any tough guy attitude left, or macho, or whatever you want to call it, I can handle it. I'm the guy, or I'm the person, throw that out, and just keep an open mind, and don't be afraid to try something that's maybe a little uncomfortable. Here's the thing for me, I got so used to, if something was uncomfortable, I knew how to make it comfortable. A few shots to make almost anything comfortable. And so I got to where I didn't deal with discomfort very well any other way, because I hadn't dealt with it in years. If it got uncomfortable, I, medicated it till it wasn't uncomfortable anymore. So keep that mind open and be willing to be a little bit uncomfortable for a little short time, because the rewards and the comfort that comes after that little bit of discomfort it'll blow your mind. You're not going to believe it. I didn't believe it. The first thing when Leon said it's going to be easy, it takes no willpower, and it's going to be fun, I almost shut it off. I'm like, yeah, this guy is obviously drinking something right now. And he's not sharing. And so I don't need to be a part of this. No, but I just couldn't believe that. I was like, yeah, okay, no willpower, and it's not going to be hard, and it's going to be fun. There's no way, buddy. All that ain't that doesn't fit in one bucket. And it's true. It's true. It just takes a little willingness and open-mindedness, and it's not the same as the other stuff we've tried. It's just not, and it works.
Yeah, awesome. I think that wraps everything up, Zane.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you having me on, and it's always good to talk to you, and hopefully that helps somebody. If it helps one person, it's worth it. And I'm looking forward to talking to you next time, buddy.